So the 4 quadrants say that we spend all of our time in one of 4 quadrants. The first quadrant is where most of us spend most of our time, and that's really putting out fires. Everything that's important and urgent needs to get done, but maybe it doesn't have to get done by you, and that's where the delegation part comes in.
Control is a big thing for a lot of people, especially when you have been a single agent for so long and you're so used to doing everything yourself. It's hard to let it
go.
It's
really hard.
Welcome to Business Insights with Matt Milia. I'm your host, Matt Milia, and in this podcast, we'll talk about the real, raw, uncut business success secrets you won't find anywhere else. Follow my journey from entry level to CEO. We discuss real actionable items you can plug into your business right away. To subscribe to our weekly top tips, you can go to www.mattpodcast.com and join our community of elite high-level performers. And if you're interested in our inside sales company, you can go to www.appointmentstoday.com to jump on a free strategy call. And now, stay tuned for our podcast.
From Appointments Today. Matt and Stephanie, our owners, are actually in Anaheim at the Club Wealth seminar. So that is awesome. So me and Milton, we're kind of running things today. And what we're going to talk about today is about the challenges that business owners have. Milton has helped us tremendously in our business. He recognizes our challenges and sees us through them. So maybe we can, he can offer some value for people so they, so you can learn how to maybe examine where, if it's time management or if it's setting yourself apart from other realtors, that kind of thing. And then my part of it will be maybe some Facebook strategy that can be helpful for you. Okay. We want to add value, even though Matt's not here, we're ready to step up and still add value and, hopefully provide you a bunch of that today within the hour. Now, Matt always starts with a prop, right? So I wanted to do the same thing. When I actually, after Milton, when I talk about this, I will come back to Grant Cardone a little bit, okay? But this is one of his books that are fantastic. It's called The 10X Rule, okay? The fun thing about Grant Cardone, he's super easy to read. It's not super hard to understand, and he gives things to you that are practical. But with Grant Cardone, you have to put in the work. I mean, it's not going to happen all by itself. That guy works harder than a lot of people around, okay? So, but this book means a lot. And it also means like setting yourself apart from everybody else, doing things that make a difference, okay? And that's why I wanted to bring this book here today. So, Milton, you're our operations manager, and every company needs a Milton. That's correct. Thank you, Seth. And honestly, Matt has told me numerous times, because Milton's been with the company longer than I have. Matt has told me numerous times, he's like, I couldn't do this without Milton. Matt tried to be Milton and tried to be me and tried to be everything. And he was overwhelmed and he couldn't grow. Okay. His business couldn't grow. He needed a Milton. He needed a hand of the king, and that's what Milton is, okay? Milton is the hand of the king here, and he makes it all work from top to bottom. So, Milton, if you would, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we can start delving into, what you see for 2020 in business?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, hey, I appreciate the comment of everyone needs a Milton.
Everyone needs a Milton.
That might be the new logo for me, slogan, right? But just to go a little bit about myself, I've been in the industry of managing and really contact centers, sales centers, and all that for about 11 years now. I actually started my career personally as an agent on the phone, which Matt has mentioned previously. He started there too. A lot of us have to start at the very bottom and work our way up. So after working in various different contact centers and sales centers, I moved up the chain, and I have roughly now about 8 years of management experience, having done every single position that you can imagine at most of the companies I worked. Like they say, wearing every single hat a different day, right? So I've been with Appointments Today now for more than a year, since Matt brought me on as Operations Manager. And through that course of time, we have worked on a lot of different projects. We have a lot that we're still bringing to the table in 2020, which we'll get to a little bit later during this this live today. But today I did want to talk just really about my experience coming into the company, and not only this company, but also other companies that I've worked with, and what most business owners really face as challenges on a daily basis. Because we talk about it, but a lot of the times we don't take action. We don't know what to do. And I think Matt needs a Milton, because I'm his, angel or devil on his shoulder, which will tell him one way or the other. And that's what really a lot of us need, because we can't do it all. We just can't. There's not enough time in the day. We've heard the expression, I wish I could extend the hours in a day to 48 or 72, which I wish I could do. Right. But, we only have 24 hours, so we have to take advantage of that. And leading into that really with time, because our most important resources as business owners or as anyone that's managing a business are time and money. And really, money does come, because if there was no money, there would be no business. But time is really where it's at. Time is really important. And we as a company ourselves at Appointments Today have been working on this a lot more to make sure that we manage our time effectively. I've heard countless times from different clients that we've onboarded through the course of, over the last year. And one of the biggest things that many clients mention, many business owners are mentioning, is that they're a one-man show or a one-woman show.
I hear it all
and
the
if
time.
You are, you can't do everything. So how do you manage your time, and how do you know that you're being productive and efficient? At the end of the day, most of us, when we take on a lot of these responsibilities and use our time this way, what's actually happening is we're trying to compensate for something, right? We either are trying to save cash, because let's face it, again, time and money are very important. We are constantly trying to put out all fires ourselves, because we think that we're the best person for the job. And many times that might be true. But I think one of the people that's made one of the biggest impressions on me, one of my mentors, which is actually Matt, has always told me, you can only do so many things in a day. And if you focus on what you are an expert at, what you can do at a 10 out of 10, then you will succeed. Because if you're doing things at a level 3 or level 2, you're never going to get anywhere. You have to delegate. And part of growing, part of being a business owner and really being able to have a vision that you can make your mission on a daily basis to hit those goals, you have to focus on what you are an expert at. And as a business owner, you can't focus on the nuts and bolts of the everyday to day. You just can't, right? You have to source that out. And delegation is a huge part of that. A lot of us are fearful of delegating because, let's face it, when you delegate, not everything gets done right the first time around. But if you focus enough on preventing that from happening, then that's where the success really comes in. So today I want to go over, Kristen, I don't know if you're familiar with the Eisenhower Quadrants of time management.
That's right, Stephanie. Yes, I read your notes about the, I know what you're talking about, but I never knew it was called the Eisenhower. That's what's really cool about it. I was like, oh, there's a name for this. Okay.
There is a name, definitely. And what that is really, in our day-to-day, we live and we do everything by 2 rules. Is what we're working on urgent, and or is it important, right? So the 4 quadrants say that we spend all of our time in one of 4 quadrants. The first quadrant is where most of us, including myself at times, where we spend most of our time. And that's really putting out fires, right? On a day-to-day, anyone that's a business owner out there knows you have so many things that come up from day to day. Mm-hmm. And how do you really effectively move that time into being productive if something's coming up constantly? You just can't. You know, it's like having a baby. Your baby's going to get hungry. They're going to need certain things, and it's going to happen, right?
Right.
And businesses are babies. We need to nurture them along, and we need to make sure we give it the time and effort that's needed, right? So the first quadrant is important and urgent, and everything that's important and urgent needs to get done. But maybe it doesn't have to get done by you, and that's where the delegation part comes in, right? Go ahead, Kristen.
Oh, sorry. I think it's like sometimes people, and I've talked to some, and some people think like, you're right, Milton, like, well, no one can do it as good as me, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. My dad used to say that about cutting the grass. No one can do it as good as me, but then he'd bitch about cutting the grass the entire time rather than just delegate it out to somebody. So it's kind of like you have to be able to entrust the people, you know, and if they make a mistake, then okay. You know, it's not the end of the world. But Matt has learned, and you're learning too, to delegate and to, you know, take that off your plate, and then that's done, and then you can move on to something that is a level 10. I think that's awesome, Milton. Control is a big thing for a lot of people, especially when you have been a single agent for so long and you're so used to doing everything yourself. It's hard to let it go.
It's really hard. If I can be honest with everyone, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest challenges I face myself as a person, because I do think that, you know, maybe I can do it better at a certain point in time because I have more information. I've been trained more, or I have more experience, which, hey, we might, but what's important is that we take the time to show someone else and let go. Right. So, which really brings me on to my point too. Everything that we look at in a business as far as time management, if we spend more time in the second quadrant, which Eisenhower said is everything that's important but not urgent. And really that means that you're looking towards the future, right? A lot of us focus on now, today, and don't think of the future. And really, we have to have a vision for our business to keep growing. If I think about right now, most people that I've talked to in the last, you know, year or so, most of them only spend roughly 10% of their time really thinking of the future, right? Why would you do that when culturally we spend so much time thinking about the future, right? All of our kids go to school. You go after elementary, you go to middle, high school, you graduate from college, you might get a master's, a PhD. That's all preparation for your future. So why would your business be handled any differently, right? You need to spend time thinking about possible things that could go wrong and how we can prevent them so that they don't go wrong.
That's excellent.
And that also goes a lot into strategy, which again, we'll talk about a little bit later today, using some of the tools and resources that we have to our advantage. The last two quadrants are urgent and non-urgent matters. We do tend to spend a lot of things in the urgent and not important sector. These are when you, as real estate agents, there's a lot of people that, you know, a lot of clients that you have that might have worked with another agent before. So they're on it. They want to know what's going on. And those phone calls that you receive, those text messages you receive as communications, or even some meetings that you have just to ease them, those are urgent and in the moment, but they're not really that important if you think about the long run, because if you gain their trust initially more, they wouldn't have to happen as much, right?
Right.
And that takes time away from you too, because in a day, how many phone calls do you take when you could be out there making some more phone calls and getting some new business, right?
Right.
And then the last one, which we're all guilty of at least a little bit, is the non-urgent and not important matters, right? These are just time wasters. This is you walking by, you see that a game is on, and you're like, oh, someone scored a touchdown. You know, that's not really that urgent or important right now, but it does catch your attention because we're humans and we like to have fun, right?
It's very true. And I think with social media too, like, you know, I've even found it myself, you know, like I'm on Facebook and I'm trying to, you know, engage with customers or clients or things like that, or other realtors, that kind of thing. And then I'm like, oh, squirrel. And then like you go off and you're like, you know, 30 minutes later, I'm playing doodle jump and I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do? You know, so I catch myself doing that too. And social media is like, you know, it can be your best friend, but it could also be a huge time waster if you don't use it the right way.
It is a huge detractor of your time and your efficiency really across the board. There's just too much out there now. And a lot of it is not even really valuable. It's just distracting.
Exactly. I mean, I love kitten videos, but do they do anything for the business? No. But it's very true, and it's easy to get into that. It is, to start going from work and trying to be productive to I'm just going to have fun on here now and forget about it. So yeah, there's a definite if you are going to go on social media and do like things like what we're doing, you're going to want to try to keep it focused and set a time playtime then,
right?
Set aside a little bit of time for yourself, but yeah, try to keep it. And I've been really working on this myself. Try to keep the fun stuff out of work time. Just try to do it if you can. The stuff that isn't productive. Yeah.
You have to play hard and you have to work hard, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you don't play and work hard at the same time.
Very true. Very true. I like that. Okay. No, that's perfect. So, so time management. Now, is there anything else that you wanted to say on that?
With time management, I'd just like to invite a lot of you who are watching or do watch our video today, that if you're interested on really recognizing and finding out where a lot of your time is being spent, let us know. We actually have an activity that's very interesting and it actually is a huge eye-opener when you realize where all of your time is going. And how much time of your day is really going to that, right? So,
cool. Yeah, if you would like to comment on this and say, yeah, I would maybe like to learn a little bit more. I got to get my time management under control. It's been a thing I've been wanting to do. And honestly, you could have somebody who's in business for 20 years and still is not that great on their time management. It happens to every single one of us. I know Matt said that was one of the things that like you and Stephanie did, is like you keep him moving. So that's really good. Like he recognized like, okay, my time management, even someone, like I said, as successful as Matt, it's always an ongoing thing. It is for all of us. So there's no, don't ever feel ashamed saying, oh, my time management really needs help. I mean, reach out to us and maybe Milton can offer some suggestions for you. That's
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Well, from time management, I really just want to move into something that I was talking about, which in order for you to control your time management, you have to delegate. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest challenges for any business out there is really recruiting top talent, right? You can't delegate if you're not able to entrust someone with it, and you can't entrust someone that has no experience or that you feel is not an A player, right? So that's one of the challenges that many of us have. And nowadays, there's a lot of this going on where a lot of different businesses are hiring people just based off of referrals. Hey, I know so-and-so, he's so-and-so is great, like Kristen, you're great, and you bring someone on, and just because Kristen knows them, you would hire them on. And that's not the ideal way to go about things, right?
Mm-hmm. That's very true.
So, and I do want to talk a little bit about this because we as a company have actually grown because of our changes that we have made to our recruitment policies and procedures. And you have to think about it. I mean, obviously, I speak from operations because that's literally all I eat, breathe, and sleep every single day. But you have to have processes around everything you do. A lot of agents out there, a lot of the coaching that we receive as agents is, hey, everything that you do needs to be a repeatable and proven system, right? We've heard that a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's how a lot of us pitch a lot of what we can do for our clients, right? All of us have a proven and repeatable system to sell homes, or else you wouldn't be in the business. You wouldn't make it past, a few years of maybe giving it a try. Right. So everything that we do, if you have an operations right now, you have an operation that you don't have any clear processes or guidelines on, it's something that you really need to think about. And recruitment is one of those processes. Just to give you guys a little bit of an insight on what we do in our recruitment process, we actually go through a pretty long recruitment process from, the advertisement that we do via various different outlets and sources. As soon as someone comes in, they have to go through a test. We have a four-part exam, which is actually pretty difficult to pass. We don't just test people on their skill to sell. We test them on their skills or proficiency of being able to think logically, being able to work technology the way that it's supposed to be worked now, and seeing how coachable people are. I know a lot of us also do some sort of a personality test to see who's coming on board and how we will be able to work with them. You know, after these tests, we only choose the best, and they still go through another 2 or 3 interviews most of the time in order for them to actually make it on our team, right? And then after recruitment, it doesn't just end there, because how do you integrate now someone that you've hired and is top talent so that you can retain them and make them successful? Because any smart business owner knows that without the people that are supporting you, there is no business. And if they don't have the best support, you know, a lot of them, even if they are top talent, they will leave because they don't feel supported or appreciated by the company.
That's a good point. Exactly. That's the thing of it being coachable too. Like, you know, we always, and I talk to so many people that say, oh, I've been in this business for 30 years. I know everything. Well, you kind of don't. You know what I mean? That's the thing. We never, and I know Matt says this, we never stop learning. When we stop learning, you've kind of like, you know, you're phoning it in at that point, in my opinion. When you stop learning and you just shut yourself off and you say, okay, I've got nothing else I've absorbed every single thing there is about this business. At some point, you know, you'll be surprised because you're going to learn something that you didn't know. And it could be somebody who's been in the business for 6 months who can teach it to you. So being coachable and being, I mean, that's a huge thing for me. Me going back into the real estate field, I haven't sold real estate in a long time. I've always been in sales, but it's been a long time since I've done this kind of thing. And like, for me to just say, oh, I know everything about it, you know, it hasn't changed at all. Well, that's crazy. You know, there's all these things that I am learning too. And it's just one of those things. It's just, you know, let it wash over you. No one knows everything. No one knows everything. And when we can be, you know, coachable about it, that was one of the things that Matt liked about me, is because I said, you know, look, I am humble in this. You know, you have to remain coachable. That's a huge thing for me. I agree with that. And I know that goes with our clients too. You know, you're going to want to give them the best suggestions that you can, you know, and if they're not willing to listen to it, it's kind of like, okay, you know. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I mean, at the end of the day, like you were saying, bringing on clients, I mean, it's a partnership, right? Anyone that we work with here at Appointments Today is not just our client, right? They're our partner. We help strategize. We will give our feedback, our insight on what's working, what's not. We will be there every step of the way as well.
That's excellent. That is excellent. Right. So don't feel that exactly like, you know, just because, you know, we're just going to leave you out to dry there and make phone calls. We want you to be successful. We want you to grow. That's the whole reason why we're here. So Milton is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to what's working, what's not. Let's tweak this. Let's try this. And, you know, that's what has exponentially helped us grow. Is, you know, taking on a partnership attitude for sure. Absolutely.
Definitely. And you mentioned something too, that, you know, we're tweaking things here and we're tweaking things there, but there's so much that goes into that, because a lot of businesses that I see will always make decisions to tweak things here and there based on their gut feeling. And I can appreciate that you're confident in yourself to do that. But we are so biased by everything that we see, we hear, by other people that, you know, might be whispering in our ears. We are very biased. We're not objective when we make these tweaks or decisions, because, you know, I think last live interview that you had with Joel, I think he mentioned it very well, that you have to tweak 1 degree or else you'll end up somewhere else. I think that's what he had mentioned before, but you can't tweak a degree unless you know where you're coming from and where you want to go. And that's a huge thing that I think many businesses, if you don't have it, you need to have KPIs, key performance indicators that let you know what your trends are in the past, what your goals are in the future, and how you can bridge that gap. And that goes into also the success of everyone that comes on board. Kristen, I mean, I know that you have goals set with Matt. I have goals set with Matt. If we have no goals, we're not going to get anywhere. But if we have no KPIs, how can we ever know if we actually hit that goal in the way that we wanted to hit it?
Sure.
And if
KPI, if I'm right, kind of tells you what's really going on right, and then what there is to work on, correct? And then it basically measures your strengths and your weaknesses, and then you can adjust accordingly. Am I correct in that?
You are correct in that. And there's actually, every business has different KPIs. If you think about on a daily basis on how much data a business goes through or consumes, it's a lot. Now, it doesn't mean that every single piece of data that comes in needs to have a goal set, because as a company, you know what you're working at. As a business owner, you know what you want to accomplish. A lot of us right now, we're in November 2019. A lot of us are strategizing for 2020 already. And if you're not, I would urge you to start strategizing for 2020 and what you're going to do differently based on what happened in 2019. If you have the proper KPIs or the data sets that you need to measure, you know for the past 11 months what has happened and how you can tweak certain things to improve next year. You can now set yourself up for success in a much better way and leverage the knowledge that you have of the past, right? I know that right now, if I were to ask most agents out there, or even most business owners that do not have something like this set up, they would be very lost on the day-to-day or the month-to-month or their yearly KPIs, right? If I think about an average agent, you could measure average commission per sale. You could go through average commission per team member if you have a small team that's getting started, so you can see how effective adding new team members has been to your team. You can see year to year or month to month the variance in volume that you've sold. And you can compare that to whether or not you did more marketing, whether or not you changed something around that time that made you have a spike in your overall results. If you are not clear on this, you do need to get some clarity, because if not, you're operating in the dark. Mm-hmm. And that's not a way really to operate, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like to be able to step back and actually look at your business rather than just being in it all the time. And that's when I sold Milton. Now, mind you, we didn't have all this stuff because it was covered wagon days in the 90s. However, if anything, I never really saw the future. I saw, okay, where's my next deal coming from? That was my attitude. And the funny thing is, and not even funny, the remarkable thing is with all these tools that we have now, it's still, I get that a lot from realtors. Where's my next deal coming from? Where's the next deal coming from? And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm like, okay, you start to ask, like, okay, are you getting someone to look at this data? Are you getting, that kind of thing? When you're a solo agent, that's tough to do. I mean, it is. That's why delegation, I'm sorry.
Oh, and I just said it's difficult. If you have so much going on, being able to create this type of reporting so you can see trends and actually being able to take an action from it is very difficult. Right. This in itself is a time consumer. And if you don't have it, that's why it's, that might be why some of you are experiencing, or some people have experienced in the past, a lack of growth from year to year, right? How many times have we heard that, last year I sold 50 houses. This year I sold 49 or 51. We're still in that same ballpark. And we don't know if you don't have trends to report on, or you don't know where you made some tweaks and how that increased or decreased your results, what you have to do to get to 70 or 80 or 90 or 100, right?
Right. That's very true. That's very true. And as Matt knew, and as we're reiterating here, that's where delegation comes in. That's where hiring comes in. That's where, what can you take off your plate so you can have time to start looking at these things and start growing your business and start strategizing? What can you take off your plate? What can you hand off to somebody else? So being a single agent's hard. Even being 2 and 3 is hard. It is. But I love all this stuff. This is so great. I'm so glad that we had that we're having this conversation with the operations manager, because I mean, you are the guy who looks at all this stuff and tells you what you need to look for as a business owner. It's fantastic. It's great.
Oh, definitely. You need to, and I will say this. I mean, a lot of us are, to a certain extent, afraid of growth. Not in the fact that, when we think about growth, we might at some points think, great, I'm going to have more income, more revenue coming. I'm going to close more deals. But more growth also means you spending more money. A lot of the times you spend more on hiring and you don't get an immediate return on it. Because at the end of the day, these are investments that you're making into your business, and you'll see them in the long run. If you are thinking about investing in certain positions and you're really hesitating on it because you're low on cash, which might happen, especially around this time of year when in some areas, because of the weather, it's slowing down. It's something that you have to consider. It's not going to be an immediate return, but how much time are you going to gain from it? I know that Matt's not on today, but he would be, I'm sure that he'd be happy to come on at some point and let us know how it's changed for him from when he was doing everything to now. Because as a business owner, you can't focus on the day-to-day. You have to focus on growing your business, because I don't think you want to be in the weeds all the time, right? As soon as you start taking things off your plate, you can see, how do I strategize to get more income to come in? How do I work on this? How do I network? Because networking, which I'm sure you'll touch up on, Kristen, is huge. If we do not network and if we do not leverage our network, what are we in it for? Right?
Exactly.
So growth can be scary, but it is also, it's a great thing once you start getting into it. And once you realize that there is value behind your investment, there always is value behind your investment. Considering you have processes in place, as we talked about a little bit earlier, to manage that, and that you have some sort of reporting. We at Appointments Today will give all of our clients reporting on how many calls we're making, how many people are answering, how many conversations we're having versus how many appointments we're setting, so we can see the conversion ratios, right? How many conversations to appointments and then to listings are taken, and how many listings do you have to take in order to sell one? Because let's face it, we're not perfect, and not everything we list sells. Not every conversation we have turns into a listing either. So these are things that we have to be conscious about, so that we know how much we have to focus our efforts on initially to get the best outcome. And that really just leads me into our one of the biggest things that we are great at, and why a lot of teams hire us, is because, I mean, Kristen, let me ask you, when you were an agent, how often did you actually get on the phone and make the calls yourself?
Not as often as I should have. But that wasn't your question, though. You asked me. I would set aside, and I'll be honest, I had every intention, Milton, of doing it for at least 3 hours a day. Did that happen? No. Because I was, there was a home inspection that went awry, or somebody's furnace, whatever the case was, right? I was putting out fires all the time. So then it would just get pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And then all of the sudden, that I should have been making 3 hour a day, effort, I haven't done it. Before I knew it, it was 2 weeks of me not calling, and then I would have to start over. I would try the low-hanging fruit, the hot business that everybody wants, the now business. Of course, I was all over it. But as far as the leads that I had and the nurtures that I had, I didn't call nearly enough. And that's why I wasn't in the business for more than 6 years. That was honest too. And I didn't even think of hiring anybody to do it for me. You just didn't do that back in those days. You just did it. Or I thought, I'm not even successful enough to hire someone else. I don't make enough money. And if I would have thought about things differently and said, okay, let me hire someone who can make these calls. And, because there wasn't a ISA company. There wasn't anything like that out there then.
No,
and hope that they would do the calls, right? And then, that was like the best you were going to get back then. No, I didn't spend enough time. Nowhere near. It should have been 3 hours a day. I maybe did 5 hours a week if I was lucky. Maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, Kristen. I ask you this because I hear the same thing almost on a daily basis from a lot of agents I speak with. Everyone has that exact same story and it's not really a story, it's the truth. You set you set the time up. And I can say, I mean, I hear also the other side of it, but let's say you're okay with dialing and maybe you even enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
The fact is that so many things come up that you end up a week later and you haven't made a single call. I had a conversation with one of our clients just maybe last week who admitted to me that, hey, we're not making the calls, right? We're not making the calls at all. We schedule our time. Our coach says we should call, and I know it, we know it, but we just don't get around to it. And that's if you like calling, because I'll say, out of every 10 people I speak with, at least 4 people are very honest and tell me, I just do not like calling. I hate it. That's not my cup of tea.
No,
exactly.
No. And especially like expireds and by owners. Oh, those were the worst back in the day. And they were so hard back in the day for me personally, because they got barraged, and they still get barraged by people.
Oh, yeah.
And how do you stand out from all the other realtors that are calling them? That's the other thing, right? We'll get into that too.
Which really, that's actually the biggest question. I think that even our team members, all of our ISAs that are calling for all of our clients, that's probably the number one thing that everyone comes in with. Everyone out there wants to know what makes you different. And we as consumers always want to know that, right? I mean, before I buy something that I need, I will go and look at 3 or 4 different options because I want to know what is different in each place. Is it the price, right? Is it the commission that you charge? Or are you really much more of an expert than everyone else out there? What can you offer that nobody else offers? And if you don't have something that sets you apart or sets your branding apart, then that's really where things get dicey. But
sure. Absolutely. I mean, you can be the top realtor and not, in the area and maybe don't have these issues. But let's face it, Milton, too, how many more realtors? Here's another thing I know we talked about earlier when we kind of rehearsed this. How many more realtors are out there now as opposed when I sold 20 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Many people. There's so many people that have licenses now and that are realtors. How do you set yourself apart from everybody else? How do you do it?
It's the go-to career now.
It is. And I know I've heard Matt say this, like people say, I want to get into real estate to free up my time. Well, if you're starting, you're going to work harder than like any business. You're going to work so hard starting it. Yeah. 5 years from now, maybe you can, come in and sign commission checks and go about your day and go on a boat somewhere. That's terrific. But if you think that, you're just going to be able to have a lot more free time because of real estate, I don't know about that. I never had.
I think I haven't met a single person so far in real estate tell me that they have as much free time as they thought or expected when they first got into it. And I joke a lot with a lot of our clients, and we talk sometimes at 6 a.m, sometimes at 9 p.m. We're always working. When you're a realtor, you don't even have vacation. On vacation, you're still working. So that's really a huge concept that really has been interpreted the wrong way. We are in it, and every day's a battle, and every day we're just we're trying to free up some time. I've been in different businesses, outside of real estate, and I'll say real estate is probably one of the fastest paced types of businesses that you can be in, where you really just don't have time. And the most successful real estate agents are so invested into it that they really have a very small life outside of the business.
Mm-hmm. because they put so much time and effort into that business to make it a success. And then sometimes people, I think, get to where you're that point, then you don't, sometimes I think it is a little bit harder to walk away since you build it, and people want to see.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other thing, even with Matt, people like to see the owner. They do. People like to see that. If you can run into that too. So yeah, even if you are super successful, there's still not a lot, because if you have more business, you're going to have you're going to have more problems. You want people to be able to handle those so you can go do what you're, what you say 10 out of 10 at, what you're the best at. If anything, you want to make it that, you can spend the time the way you want to and either do sales or appointments or whatever, and then have it all running behind you, kind of what Matt's doing now.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, that's great. That is good stuff. That is good stuff. Now, Milton, where are we with, I know we had some other points here. Sorry, guys, we have notes. We've never done one of these before, so we're trying to keep it moving along and adding value. But Milton, you're doing great, and thank you so much for doing this again.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me on today. Really, I think we can definitely go into the social media area and just standing out. I think that's something that a lot of our clients ask. I know that when we onboard a lot of new clients, they ask, how, because one of our biggest questions as appointments today, in order for us to dial for a team, is also, do you have any unique selling propositions that make you stand out from the competition? And we know there are some out there that work, that are more of, they're hooks to bring people in at the end of the day, because we don't always use them, right? But in this day, in the year that we're currently at, there's so much competition out there that even if you're the best of the best, you still need to have something that entices people to want to work with you. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, having a hook is good. Any business owner will tell you that. Okay, it's about 20-1 here. So yeah, let me go through about the unique selling propositions. Like here's one that someone could do, like we were talking about it before. It's like, and you'd have to see in your market if this would work. I'll sell your home in 60 days or I'll sell it for free. Milton, you had mentioned, like, if you're working with a buyer, love it or leave it. If you buy a house from us and you don't like it, what did you say it was? We'll sell it for free the year after.
We'll sell it for free within the first year of your purchase.
Okay. You can even do guaranteed. This is really easy. People love guarantees. Milton and I talked about this. You could say guaranteed communication. You'll hear from us twice a week, no matter what. We hear a lot of the time that, on expireds, they'll be like, well, my agent never got a hold of me. I never knew what was going on. I felt like I was slipping through the cracks. And, you can do that and say, well, we guarantee that we'll get a hold of you twice a week. We'll see who and those kinds of things, and let them know what's going on. These are things that won't cost you a whole lot of money with that type of guarantee. Matt gave a good one too. Like, if you're not happy in your listing agreement within the first 30 days, you can get out of it. That's another one. If people are resistant to signing a 6-month agreement, you can say, okay, within the first 30 days, if you're not happy, we'll let you out of the agreement. And then you have your stipulations that that they must agree to also. So that's a good way to stand out. If you have any questions about some USPs that you would like to use, Matt has a great video. If you comment, I'll send it over to you, and he goes over a little bit more of those in depth. Okay. Now we're going to segue into getting noticed and being on Facebook. Now, a little bit about me. I know we've said it a million times. I did sell real estate in the 90s, but I also owned my own business. My ex-husband and I owned a business called Kitty Emporium. And Kitty Emporium was just this little drop ship cat store. And it was like kind of cool stuff, for kitties and people that love kitties. Well, in doing this, we went to a lot of seminars. We went to Vince Reed's seminar. We went to Billie Jean's seminar. We met people that were like Jay Abraham, Steve Sims, who's actually, Matt met him yesterday. and Mark Lack and Roland Frazier, right? So there's some big names. Mark Lack is interesting to me in this way. If you guys want to figure out how to get yourself exposed on Facebook a lot more, go on YouTube and watch Mark Lack. He has awesome stuff. He provides a ton of value, and it's all very reasonable to do. Here's the Grant Cardone thing again. Mark Lack became friends with Grant Cardone when Mark Lack really didn't know him. What he did, and this follows suit too, what he did is he put a money gun together and put fake money in it. And if you know anything about Grant Cardone, when that money gun came out of a box of this guy that he didn't know, and he shot that money everywhere, Grant Cardone lost his mind, looked at the guy's business card, and called him immediately. That's a way to get known quick. I think the whole investment cost him $50. And now he's friends with Grant Cardone and does all these kinds of interviews. Okay. So that was kind of a way to get noticed. When Matt and Stephanie were going to go to Club Wealth in Anaheim, I thought, okay, what could they do to go get noticed? What could they do that wouldn't break the bank to get noticed? The money guns, right? I thought, okay, let's get the money guns. They took the money guns. Michael Hellickson on that stage yesterday had his speaker shoot that money gun all over the place, and everybody lost their minds. Now, everybody knows who Matt and Stephanie are there from like a $60 investment. Okay. And a bunch of big real estate players. All right. They know who they are now because of that money gun. So these are things. Now, I don't expect that to work in every scenario, but that's a good example. Now, what we have implemented at appointments today to get noticed on Facebook. This is the first thing, this going live thing. Okay, this is the first thing that we've done, and it's made a huge difference in the amount of followers we have on our Facebook page, the amount of traction we're getting. We're getting all kinds of comments and likes. And remember, videos like this, guys, can be saved forever. This is going to go into your content, okay? Here's the funny thing. When I started working here, I made a Facebook profile for business, strictly for business. My other profile has about 5,000 friends on it. I maybe have 5 realtors on it that I went to high school with. Okay. So I created a Facebook page, a Facebook account that's a business account. Okay. And I started friending all of Matt's friends. All of the realtor friends, anybody that was realtor or mortgage broker, I started friending all those people. Then I started friending their friends. I went in and I know this sounds funny, but you can go in and kind of go into someone's account and see who their friends are a lot of the time. And then you can start friending those people, the people that they're networked to. Now, when I really started concentrating on this, I have about 3,200 friends on my business Facebook. And I'd say probably at least, now I go through and clean it, but I'd say at least 90% of them are either realtors, mortgage brokers, or some sort of entrepreneur. Okay. So if you can do that to make your Facebook presence more well known, I would say the first thing to do, if you haven't set up a business page for your business or your business account, business profile, try to set up one that's separate from your personal one. That would be the first thing to do. And it's free. Okay. Start scoping out the people that you're closest with in your office. So like, let's say there's 10 people that you're friends with that are realtors, even if you start small. Start with those 10 people and build on that. But don't add people that are insurance people, unless that's what you're looking for, or painters or that kind of thing. Try to keep it industry relevant. Okay. The next thing would be if you're going to start a page, if you're going to start a Facebook page, or if you have a Facebook page and it's not really going anywhere, try to refriend some new people and invite them to the page. Okay. And then have them like it, ask them to like it. and then you like theirs in kind. And then when people start reacting on your page, make sure that you go in and comment on it. I see a lot of times like people will go in and they'll post something like an MLS and people make comments on it and there's nothing there. It's like they've just looked like, okay, I'm just posting this to post it. And then I'm really not on here and I really don't, I really don't have any other skin in the game besides listing this house, and that's about it. So you want to keep engaged with the people that are engaging with your posts, okay? Now, the other thing that I can tell you, Facebook Live, okay? Facebook Live is incredible. Everything costs so much money in real estate, whether it's, CRMs or advertising or ISA services, everything costs money. We know that. Facebook is one of the few things that you can do that does not. Facebook Live does not cost any money to do. So think of it this way. I have about 3,000 friends that are realtors or mortgage people on my Facebook business profile. I see 99.9% of them, when they get a listing, they put a picture of the house, they tell you about the house, they give you the price. Everybody says, congratulations, that's terrific. And they're all the same. They're all the same. All of those posts look exactly the same. So why are we're talking about this to try to differentiate yourself, right? What I would suggest to do, and not on every listing, but what I would suggest to do, if you can, is actually just take a video of yourself going through the house. Hey, this is Kristen from such and such, from whatever real estate office, right? Go through and actually do a little bit of a video. It doesn't have to be perfect, but people will notice that in their feed. Everyone's attention spans are so short now, right?
Yes.
Picture of a house. Oh, okay, a video. Video rules. That's why we're doing what we're doing. We've gotten so much more traction from doing stuff like this, and that will help you in your listings as well. Also helping buyers. If you have a brand new program for a first-time buyer, go on Facebook Live and talk about it. And then people can share that, If you do decide to go live, let someone know so they can like your post within the first 70 seconds. A little clue there. I know we got 10 minutes left. I'm trying to race through this. I have so much to say. So try to have someone comment on your post or like your post within the first 70 seconds, and your post will get more traction. If it doesn't, it has a risk of laying dormant and not really going anywhere. So like if you see a cat video that people start liking right away, it gets legs and it goes and goes and goes because people like it right away. If no one likes it right away, it can kind of sit there. It's the same thing for your live videos as well. When you do that and you get likes on it, you'll be at the top of everyone's news feed when they come in, and it'll look like you're the expert in your industry. When they go on Facebook, they'll see your Facebook Live immediately and go, wow, she's really killing it, right? Todd Crockett, I mentioned Todd here, and Todd's actually, I don't know if he's viewing now. Hi, Todd. But I asked him if it was okay if I mentioned him. Todd, if you look at Todd Crockett's feed, if you're friends with him, if you look at his feed, it is so well balanced. He has video of his new office that he's putting up. He has video of him going to the Keys, riding on a bike, being active and being fun. He has all kinds of things on there about his family, about his business. He has a mixture of video, going live, and pictures, and it's amazing. It's not just, like I said, it's not just putting a listing up and saying this is what it is and just moving on. He does so much more. So you think of him as actually more of a person rather than just a realtor. And it also gives the indication like, oh, he's busy, he's doing stuff, he's active. I bet that guy could sell my house. Just because he's putting a video of him riding a bike on the Keys or doing something really fun, it subliminally tells us that this guy is active, he's successful, he's doing things. So something simple like that says a lot. I'm trying to think of other stuff here too. Okay. Oh, Matt has a good thing about the 3-to-1 ratio. Okay. If you start posting on Facebook, and if you do live or video, canned video, live advertisements or whatever it is, or pictures, always try to do something as far as making 3 deposits to 1 sales pitch. Okay. So in other words, you could do like a motivational post. You can, is if someone's having a really bad day, you can come in there and just be like, oh, just keep trucking along, do a motivational post. It shows that you care. It shows that, you're like, it's like supporting your fellow people rather than just making it all business, right? The other thing you can do is kind of what I said about Todd, is making yourself look active on Facebook. Like if you go out and your kids are playing, football, or if you're doing this, or you're walking your dog, or walking around anywhere, doing something, show that. It shows you as a real person with hobbies and interests, and you're very active then. Again, that's subliminal. Oh, she's on the move all the time, or he's on the move all the time. Boy, I bet they sell a lot of houses. Right? Shows you as a full person. Okay. The last thing would be to, and my bad, sense of humor, right? I've noticed business can be really, really serious, right? It can be. Real estate can be serious. Any business can be serious. I think we can all be a little bit too serious sometimes. We have to have laughter. Laughter makes us happy. Laughter, and it's a huge icebreaker. So like if you have, a bunch of leads that are buyers, do some humor about real estate on there. There's nothing wrong with that. And it shows that, that it breaks a lot of ice, and it shows that you're very approachable if you can have a laugh. And even like to laugh at yourself is okay too, but you can always use real estate humor and still tie it to yourself. I'm trying to think of anything else that I can do. Oh, and if you do have a Facebook page and you want to grow it, the other thing you can do, if you have people that, and this is a little trick that I knew from Kitty Emporium. If you have people like posts from your page, you can click on the amount, like let's say 80 people like it. You can kind of tap on those 80 people and see who they are. And you can invite people on your to your Facebook page to like it right from there. So that's a little shortcut too. So I would say try to, for Facebook, if you're not there already, build a business profile. It's crucial. You want to keep it separate if you can, if it's practical to do. The second thing is to start friending a bunch of people that maybe you wouldn't have before, and try to keep it industry relevant. And obviously your clients too. If you have leads on there, you'll want to friend them too and have a following, right? And then try to do 3 deposits and then 1 sales pitch. Try to do it where you're not always trying to sell, because if you do that, people are just going to say, well, she's just in it to sell a house, or he's just in it to sell a house. I don't really know anything else about them. That's great. But when you see how many pictures of houses are on there with no video, that's where I think it could be a huge difference, is to actually have listing videos, like live videos, and buying live videos. Video is key. And the more that people do it, the better off they're going to be, because it's not going anywhere. It's very popular. And the other thing too, again, it makes you stand out from everybody else. The video makes you stand out. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And it's helped tremendously in our business. So I know it's fear. It can be frightening to go on video. I was terrified. I mean, honestly, okay. But the thing is, you almost have to get over it. You kind of have to. Milton and I attest to that. We were both a little anxious. It's okay, right? It's okay. It's not perfect. It's never going to be, but it's okay. We're out there and we're doing it. And that's, if you can start doing that and just start, putting more of yourself out there in your videos, I think you will set yourself apart from so many other realtors in the market right now. And there's just so many right now. There's so many realtors. So all the more reason to set yourself apart. All the more reason, So if anybody has any questions or comments or anything, we will definitely look at this later. It's about 1 o'clock. I actually have a call I have to get to. And Milton, I know that you have like a million things going on at all times. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Yeah, the only thing that I would like to add is if anyone that has been watching or that watches wants to have even a strategy session or anything with us, I mean, you guys are always welcome to go to our Call Matt Milia page and schedule a meeting with us. We are here as a business to, you know, to keep growing, but at the end of the day too, if we can make a difference and impact in anyone else's business, that's a win for us any day.
Absolutely. We want people that, you know, even if you never hire us, it's still okay. We want you to be able to provide, we want you to get value from this. You know, and like I said, it's the first time that I've ever ran one of these. So thanks everybody for your patience. And Milton, you were terrific. Thank you so much. But yes, we are here to help. You know, we're here to add value and provide as much knowledge as we possibly can. If you do have any questions about what Milton had said about strategies or anything else, please leave a comment and we'll get back to you. And we wish you a very happy and prosperous day today. And thanks again for watching. Matt, we didn't burn the place down. I think we're okay.
You did great.
Thanks, Milton. You too. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me on today.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and stop this. And thanks again. And we will be back on the day before Thanksgiving. I believe Matt and I will be back around the same time, and we'll go from there. All right. Thanks again.
Awesome. Have a great one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.